What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, here with my guy, my brother from another mother, Big Game James. And he is the happy one this week. We got. I came in and I was like, "Listen, I'm feeling a little bit better." He was like, "Hey, no reason to be mad." Like I said, not for y'all. Y'all came out victors. Shout out to the Cowboys, man. Y'all did y'all thing. But how are you doing, James? How has everything been for you?
I mean, everything's been great right now. Just got me a new whip. I've been needing a new whip in a long time. Not like new, but just got a new whipper. So back on the road again, so that feels good. Obviously beating the Eagles. Like I said, I wasn't tripping on the fact of, y'all had to back up, but this is the fact that you guys can be quiet just a little bit. And main thing with me, I feel good about is momentum, because this kind of changes the trajectory of where we're going to do the last couple games, being this game coming up with the Titans, and then you could possibly rest against these Commanders. So we'll see. But we always feel good whenever you beat the Eagles.
Yeah, and I mean, so I was saying before we got on here, I was kind of talking about where the Eagles are after this game, and it sucks losing to the Cowboys. Don't get me wrong, but we're not as quiet as probably previous years. We still feel confident in this team, but the one thing that I think hurts a little bit more right now than the loss itself is all these injuries that we're getting. So Lane Johnson is not going to play for the rest of the regular season. There's hope that he's going to be back for the playoffs. Obviously, there's always hope, right? But he's going to be gone for the regular season. You're looking at Vontae Maddox. He's gone now indefinitely. There is a possibility that we get Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back either this week or next week. It's been kind of clouded on what they're going to do, but there's a lot of decisions. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is trying to fight to play this week. We'll see what happens with him, but there's so many question marks now around this Eagles team. And you said it, you guys, have dealt with injury throughout this year, going through it still to this day, to this week. But it's with the Eagles, we haven't had to deal with that. So I think that's right now probably the scariest part of being an Eagles fan. It's not necessarily, oh, we just lost, the world is falling apart. But it's like we lost some key guys in that game. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Eagles kind of fight back from that. There are talks as far as Lane Johnson, which I think is the biggest injury, in my opinion. That's not to take anything away from what Avonte Maddox is for this team. But I think that's a huge injury for the Eagles. So you look at Lane Johnson, we do have Jordan Mailata on the left side. There's talk of maybe moving him to the right side and moving Andre Dillard to the left, back to the left tackle, I should say. And that could be something long-term. You put your best five out there. The no-brainer, the off the top of the head is Jack Driscoll. That seems to be the quick, if it's a short-term just for the regular season type thing, you put Jack Driscoll at that right tackle. So there's a lot of question marks, but how are you looking, at this Cowboys team? Are you guys getting now on the healthier side of things, or are you guys still kind of dealing with stuff?
We're dealing with injuries. I mean, you know what? I feel bad. Not really. I feel bad for any player being injured. Honestly, you never want to see any player get injured, so you never trumpet that. But as far as the game goes, I don't feel bad about that part of it. But yes, get better as far as the injury as a person. But obviously, it is going to hurt because we had lost our right tackle in Terrence Steele, who's had to me, a Pro Bowl type season. He's the guy that was undrafted, really pushed La'el Collins out the Cowboys roster, and he's with the Cincinnati Bengals now, and he's more than held his own at the right tackle. Our running game was very stout with him. Pass pro, he had his way a little bit, but he still played very good running game, athletic. So that was a huge blow for us to lose him, especially when you're putting a Tyron Smith, who struggled in that game against the Eagles, and you saw it. He gave up the sack against I think it was Hassan Reddick. It was either Reddick or Josh Sweat. One of them two got him a couple times, and they were putting constant pressure on him. He hadn't played the right tackle position since his rookie year, since 2011. So we're already going through because we couldn't put our draft pick, our number 4 or 4th rounder draft pick, Josh Ball, in because he's just not ready for it, and that can get killed. You can't have that going into the playoffs. So you had to put, like you said, the best 5. You got Jason Peters, who you guys very well known, who's on the Cowboys now. Tyler Smith, he gave up another sack, but he's played very well. I think as a rookie, he was your first-round draft pick. But now you're going into the playoffs with a little worrisome. So, yes, we're dealing with the injuries. I don't know if they're getting healthy because that's going to be a problem with you losing your right tackle for the whole year, so he's not coming back. So now it's going to be kind of shuffling how it goes, and you're going to have to be watching how that matchup goes, because you're already seeing the pressure that the Eagles put on the defensive line, and Tyron Smith hasn't played there. So that's a concern for me going into the playoffs, where guys haven't really played those positions in a long time and they're older. So, yeah, definitely thinking about that. I told you about Jonathan Hankins, our defensive tackle who played well. We got him at the midseason. He had played well from the Raiders, and then he tore his pec. They said he could be ready for the playoffs. We still don't know that. We need that addition, because running game and our run defense has been an issue since last season, and I think that's a concern going into the playoffs with me as well. LVE, who's been much maligned, our linebacker, who's been much maligned with Dallas, but he has really stepped his game up the last 3 weeks. He's out until the playoffs, so we don't know about that. And it's a stinger, but it could be dealing with the neck. He's already had those injuries. And it's well documented about Micah Parsons. He's dinged up because he's playing more full-time defensive end. He's been playing linebacker last year, so now he's nicked up. DeMarcus Lawrence has a foot injury, so we're dealing with all kind of injuries on our front this year. Anthony Brown, starting corner, just lost him 2 weeks ago. You had to shuffle your whole cornerback position. Now you got the rookie Deron Bland, who you saw in that game, had the interception, but Kelvin Joseph, Nashawn Wright, those guys are playing now. We lost Jordan Lewis, who was our other starting nickel corner. He's already out for the whole year, so we're dealing with injuries all the way through. Hopefully we just got to play through it, and this is the time of year you want to get healthy, but guys got to step up, next man up.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, because I think some of the people in the comments can't necessarily hear full sentences. I think they just hear half of the sentence. But like I said, the Eagles have been very lucky in the sense that we've been healthy for most of this season. We've been very healthy for most of this season, and now we're getting those injuries. So, like you said, it comes down to this: if the Eagles can go out there and just win this one game, then our season's over. We can wait 2 weeks, and hopefully everybody comes back fully healthy. My biggest thing is we have to figure out what we're going to do with Lane Johnson. We got to figure out what's going on, obviously, with Jalen Hurts, which I think if you're able to win this game, I think if you're able to do what you did against the Cowboys defense with a Gardner Minshew, I think you can do that against New Orleans. And I think New Orleans doesn't have even close to the offense that Dallas does. So I feel comfortable going into that game with a Gardner Minshew thinking that we can win it. And like I said, that ends things for us and we can just rest people. So it sucks because you don't want to like back into the playoffs, right? Like I feel like the Eagles had so much momentum going. We were on a really, really good, just win streak, obviously, after the Washington game and just season in general. We had a lot of momentum going. And these injuries could definitely, kind of harp that. You want to rest people on your own terms. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like right now we're kind of doing a lot of, how do I put this? I don't want to say panic because that maybe that's the wrong word, but it seems like a lot of panic moves. Like, damn, this guy just got hurt. Damn, this guy just got hurt. So we'll see what happens. But I like what's going on with the Eagles. I think that we're going to be able to figure it out. Obviously, we stumbled against you guys. And I've seen a lot of people bring up, if we had Jalen Hurts, it would have been a different game. I don't know if it would have. I think that, especially if we would have just turned the ball over that much, maybe that's where Jalen Hurts would have, not given you the game in that sense, that he wouldn't have given the 4 turnovers. But at the end of the day, our defense couldn't stop a nose like I don't know what they couldn't stop anything. So, I mean, kudos to you guys. I just don't think we're going to really see another type of offense like yours maybe till the playoffs, if we even see it in there. So we'll see what happens. I mean, you guys are looking like you might be going against Tampa again. I want to know, is there a preference? Would you rather go against Tampa or would you rather go against San Fran if you could choose between the two?
I want Tampa. This is the exact way I want it. I've been screaming this the whole time, big dog, the whole time, Joe, that I want Tampa, I want San Francisco, and I want you guys in the championship. That would be my dream way to have it go out and go into the Super Bowl. I feel like that's the best way to become battle tested. That's the way. That's the way, Joe. There's no other way, in my opinion, for it to happen. I want it that way. I don't want it any other way. Tampa Bay haven't beat Tom Brady ever. 7-0 against Dallas. 7-0, Joe. San Francisco whooped our ass last year. Excuse my language. Stomped us. We already have a history with San Francisco. I haven't forgot that. And then obviously, I want you guys again with Jalen Hurts because I don't want to hear the noise no more about, oh, well, you beat us with a backup, we beat you with a backup. No, what better way to end it? Championship game, Cowboys, Eagles, bragging rights on content creators, bragging rights as fans, bragging rights as just whatever. That's the best way to end it, in my opinion. That's the way I want it to end. So, yes, that's the way I want it. So, I would definitely want to see Tom Brady first because, honestly, in my opinion, Dallas is already known to be struggling in the playoffs, right? What better way to start the playoffs is people are like, oh, I don't want to play Tom Brady. No, you want to play Tom Brady because you want to slay that dragon, right? Because
Yeah.
then the next round you have confidence because you beat a guy who you've never beat ever. If you go into their stadium and beat a guy who you've never ever beat, doesn't that give you confidence when you're playing the Niners the next week? Yes, I feel like it does, and it gives you a more of a confidence boost going in even more into the playoffs. Like we can do this, especially if you win a convincing win. So I want it. I don't want any of the soft way, Joe. I don't want any of the weak way. I don't want a back end. I want all the smoke from everywhere. I want it all. Let's get it.
Yeah, it's funny because as an Eagle, well, at least for me, I can't talk for all Eagles fans, but for me, I don't mind who we get because I went to that. I know you know, I went to that game last year, the playoff game where we got absolutely just like we didn't even show up. The Eagles, I could have went on the field and probably did a little bit better than they did, but it was just I paid a lot of money to go to that playoff game,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
as a fan, I'm just upset about that. I want that revenge, but obviously, it would take them beating you guys. So I wouldn't mind it either way. Like I would mind. I would love to beat you guys at full health. Us be at full health. Obviously, you know, both of us just actually, like you said, just finally get it over with. But it'll be interesting. I think it'll be very interesting because this playoff. You look at the teams on the NFC. I think the guys that are in now, those are the outside of the Vikings. I don't really think the Vikings are all that good, but I think that you look at the 49ers, I don't care who they have at quarterback at this point. Their defense, their playmakers are going to make it a game. You look at the Cowboys, the Eagles. I think those are the three teams right now that you really got to be worried about. I don't really see anybody in the NFC sneaking up on those guys. I mean, we'll see what happens. But what if you had to if you
I
had to
agree.
say that if you had to say that this game meant something, right? Because in the grand scheme, it didn't mean anything as far as what may. I mean, it might. Who knows? The Eagles might collapse totally, and you guys end up with the 1 seed. But you've said before that doesn't really matter to you, which I understand. My question though is, what does this mean? We talked about momentum. Did you learn anything about what maybe you can do as a team that maybe they weren't doing prior? You know what I'm saying? Like, what does this mean in the scope of the Cowboys learning about themselves?
I think what it did show was that Dak Prescott's pretty damn good. I think that's what it showed. I think he's been getting a lot of disrespect his whole career. It's funny because I think the world of Jalen Hurts. No, at no time since you've known me, I've never hated on Jalen Hurts. Since we've done any kind of shows, I've always told you I've liked Jalen Hurts. I felt like he
Yeah.
was coming in the way of Dak Prescott, and he was have to prove it. Like his career is coming the way of Dak. But I feel like he's all of a sudden getting all this respect, and Dak is not. And I get it. Dak is not a perfect quarterback by any means. I definitely get it. Sometimes I feel like, why does he still do these things? But when I see what he's continued to do, how he's ruled the NFC East, he's still a winning quarterback. What it proves to me is that even when this defense is down and we need this defense to be playing at its best, you can still rely on Dak Prescott to be able to win the game for you because that's what he did. You went against the Philadelphia Eagles, who, even though they didn't have Jalen Hurts, yes, they missed a few people, but they still had a damn good defense. You guys still have a damn good defense. Even with those few guys that you missed, you guys have a good squad. So for
Mhm.
him to be able to do what he did back, first of all, like if you look at that game, and I'm not just trying to hype it, but you guys had two double-digit leads, 2 10-point leads. We were doing the game. You remember that play where it was third and down and you guys were up 10-0, and it was like, man, he almost got sacked and he completed that pass. Dog, if you guys would have got the ball, it could have been a blowout. It could have been something you
Mhm.
talked about. So he saved the team time and time again from it getting out of control, because it could have really got out of control a few times. Were it not for Dak Prescott. And like I said, CeeDee Lamb is turning up, but we don't have the elite guys at the receivers, some good tight ends, pretty good offensive line. Yes, we got some dynamic guys in the backfield. But what I learned is that even when the chips are kind of down, we still got a quarterback that we can rely on to get us through. So, like I said, it's even better when everything is working, just like a Jalen Hurts. Yeah, you feel like, yeah, he can win them games, but it's even better when my defense is playing good. It's even better when my receivers are catching that ball. It's even better when we can run that ball because it makes it easier for Jalen Hurts. Yeah, you can probably I feel like Jalen Hurts can take us there, but it's better when the whole team is playing good because you don't have to have that extra stress on that quarterback for feel like he's got to do it when the whole team is playing good. And that's what I want the rest of the squad to do, especially this defense right now, because it needs to step up.
Yeah, your defense. I don't know. I
It
agree.
got
Look,
some turnovers though. It got some
yeah,
turnovers, and I will
yeah,
say
some
this.
big ones, some big
Because
ones.
I will say this, I heard a lot of people in the streets like, "Oh, we gave y'all." No, I'm gonna have to take that away because Deron Bland and Ron Curse, those interceptions were taken. Like those weren't just
Yeah.
gifted to him, especially that Deron Bland. I mean, it was in the Philly guy's hands as well. He had to make a great play, and that was at the end of the game. You feel me? A rookie. So you feel me? So I have feel good about even though that defense gave up all them yards, is that they still made some plays when they needed to. They just need to kind of step it up all the way around.
Yeah, I look at it like this. I blame, I don't want to even say blame, but when you look at our defense, I do sit here and say, they got to get better. We couldn't stop anything. But the offense definitely did not help. 4 turnovers. I think it went for 20 points on your end. So kudos to Dak Prescott and kudos to your offense for actually converting that, actually going out there and having one of his better games, but maybe best game of the season. I don't know. I would have to, I guess, look through the actual numbers, but he had a hell of a game, like you said. But you look at this Eagle from an Eagles perspective. I feel like we look at it and we say there's so many things that Jalen Hurts just wouldn't do. Jalen Hurts would. I don't want to say he would never. There's no game that he's ever going to give the ball up 4 times. I just don't feel like looking at his year that would be something that would happen when he's in there. Quez Watkins isn't getting the ball as much as he did against the Cowboys because Gardner Minshew's in there. So
He did
at the end
have
of
a
the
two
day,
interception game his last game though.
2 interceptions, and that was his worst game by far, and that was in the first quarter, and after that he kind of went crazy. So I mean,
Okay.
I agree with you, don't get me wrong, it's very possible, and that's why I say, I don't want to say very possible, but it's possible, and that's why I said it. I don't want to say it's impossible, but at the end of the day, looking at it from the Eagles perspective, we look at all that and we take all that in context, that you have one of the better offenses, especially since Dak has come back. We lost some guys. There's a lot of things that you look at from the Eagles perspective that you're like, there's still room to be very optimistic that we were still in that game. And as you said, we had opportunities to not just make it a blowout, but to win that game, point blank, to just go out there and get the win. So we didn't do that, and I'm not making excuses. I'm not taking anything away from it. I'm just trying to say from an Eagles perspective why I think we still have that optimism and why I think we shouldn't hold our head down as a team for losing that game, because there was a lot of things against us and we went out there and it was a great game. Looking back, obviously during the game I was pissed off, and still to this moment I'm upset that we lost. But if that was 2 other teams, we would be sitting here like, bro, that was one of the best games I've seen all year. Like, that was just back and forth. It was a crazy game. So it sucks, but I ain't too mad at it. It is what
it was a great game. It was I felt like what everybody thought it would be, especially even if you had a backup. No matter what people say, that first game was good. No matter what people say, because I feel like the first game was good for the simple fact that could have been the blowout. Like, we were there. I thought that was going to, you were like, this is about to be a blowout. We're about to stomp y'all. I thought it was about to be a stomp. I thought we were about to get beat down. I was about to be really frustrated that first game. But the fact that the Cowboys came back, made adjustments on defense, came back and scored with that backup, who I really didn't think was going to be able to do that, and made a game of it until the very end. You know what I'm saying? That speaks to the testament, I feel like, of the Cowboys and the Eagles. I feel like they're the 2 best teams, along with the San Francisco 49ers. I agree with you. I'm not worried about the Minnesota Vikings at all. I'm sorry. If they win, it's just the football guys just shining on them that day. I'm not giving them any kind of work. The 3 best teams in the NFL, or at least in the NFC, are those teams that we mentioned. I feel like those are the 3 teams that you're going to see representing the Super Bowl. It's going to be one of those 3 teams, in my opinion, that are going to rep the Super Bowl this season. It's just how it's going to kind of play out. We'll see on the AFC. So it's going to be real interesting, especially in these last couple of games. You guys are playing the Saints. I want to see how you guys play because I know you guys are better than the Saints, but you never know right now. Especially, it gets quirky, Joe. We've seen it too many times, time and time again in the NFL. Teams be riding high and then bam, you lose a couple or just lose a fluky game and then all of a sudden you lose two in a row. We've seen teams back and we've seen it happen. We've seen teams out of nowhere who you never thought would beat them. So all I'm saying, I'm going to be keeping my eye on it because at the end of the day, Dallas still has a chance to win the East. If you guys were to lose your last two games, if you guys were to lose to the Saints and the Giants, I mean, we would be right back in the driver's seats because we have the better conference record and we could pull it off and actually win it. And then we would have the bye. Like it could happen. It's not the probability that it would happen, but it could. So, I'm keeping my eyes on everything to see how it goes because I asked Cowboys Nation, would you rather host a playoff game and get the bye, get healthy, or would you rather go on the road? Me, I don't really care, but I don't mind going on the road, Joe. Because I just feel like I know you guys probably want to get healthy because I know Lane Johnson, but I feel like, man, we need to be battle tested in this thing, man. Too many years Dallas has kind of just dropped the ball, and we need to play against these competitive teams, dog. We need to slay these dragons that so many times have time and time we failed against, and I'm ready to beat these teams, and we need to beat them. We need to beat everybody, and just needs to happen in my opinion.
So I saw a article talking about it was a power rankings. It wasn't really an article. I mean, I guess it was an article, depending on how you look. Anyways, it was written, so it was an article. So it was a power ranking. They have the Cowboys after the win against the Eagles at number 6, and they have the Eagles at number 4. I want to ask you first with your Cowboys. Yeah, I'll talk about my Eagles because I do feel like that's a little bit disrespectful in my opinion, but. Do you think that 6 is too low for the Cowboys? I know you probably don't really necessarily care about stuff like that, but in your opinion, do you think 6 is fair? Do you think that's too low for the Cowboys?
6 is fair. I don't, like you said, I don't care about any of that stuff because it's all opinions. But to me, 6 is fair. Dallas ain't never proved nothing. You feel me? I've seen Dallas do this before. Okay, and that's why I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid with my team. I've seen Dallas win 10 in a row. I've seen Dallas win 9 in a row. I've seen Dallas win go on 5 games. They just did it last year. They went on like an 8-game win streak. They went on 9, 10-game win streaks in 2014, 2016. I think it was like a 10-game win streak. You feel me? Only for us to falter in the playoffs. So, yeah, I've seen this before. So I don't care about the rankings, the ratings, or anything like that. It's about what you guys are going to step up and do in these playoffs. Because as I said before, Joe, you got 2 back-to-back 10-win seasons. Hasn't happened in 20 years. You haven't been that back-to-back playoff season since 06, 07. If you lose in the first round, does that matter?
True. And that's why I say I'm not gonna get into that. I do want to say though, I do feel like number 4 is a little bit disrespectful for the Eagles. I understand we just lost.
You guys
I
below?
understand that.
Who are you guys below?
It's I don't remember the exact order. I think that Buffalo Bills was number 1. I know that the Bengals, I want to say, were number 2, or they were number 3, something like that. And then the Chiefs were in there. So yeah, that would be the 3 that were above us.
I don't give the Bengals. I'm sorry. I love Joe Burrow.
That's a little bit too much.
I think Joe Burrow is the truth. Joe Burrow is the truth. I believe he is that guy. But I don't. That squad as a whole. Nah, I mean, yeah, they come back, but nah, I'm sorry. I if I'm saying Philadelphia, just me, if I see Philadelphia play the Bengals, I'm not taking the Bengals over Philly. That's just not even that. I'm not doing that.
I would have it as I'm going to be honest, and I know this is going to be everybody's going to yell bias, but I would have it still at number 1. The Bengals obviously started off this year really rough, right? You guys got a dub off of them, and they really weren't that. And I'm not taking away anything from your dub, but they weren't who they are right now early on in the season, right? You look at the Bills. The Bills have lost to their division opponents before. They've lost to teams they shouldn't have lost to, and they were at full health. Same thing with Kansas City. Kansas City lost some games they probably shouldn't have lost, and they were at full health. So I don't really understand how and again, not making excuses for the loss, but taking into context that our backup was in there at quarterback, I don't understand how our loss to you guys, which you're one of the top 5 teams, if not higher than that, you're one of the top 5 teams. How does that loss in context way more than some of these losses that the Bills have had, some of these losses that the Kansas City Chiefs have, some of these losses that the Bengals have
I
definitely
think
had. So
You know what I think it is, though. In my opinion, I feel like what it is because the last couple weeks you guys have struggled. You guys struggled to beat the Colts. You had a struggle game against the Bears, and then you lose against us. I think they're taking that in consideration instead of the very beginning. I think they're looking at the end and they're rolling like they're not rolling like they used to, and then Dallas just drops 40 on them. That's what I feel like. If they were looking at anything as far as power rankings, then they would look at that because of the last couple games y'all had weren't the blowouts like y'all were accustomed to, and then we win. So I think they take that in consideration. But as Jay from Avon says, power rankings mean absolutely nothing because they ain't
yeah,
nothing but
facts.
opinions. You feel me? Who is bored, they ain't got nothing to do, and their opinions ain't no better than ours, Joe.
Facts. That's why I had to put my opinion out because they pissed me off with that. I was mad as I was like, how you gonna put the? And I'm glad you said that. I was like, how you gonna put the Bengals ahead
You
of the
know what I'm
Bengals? Didn't
saying?
even
Come
start
on,
playing
dog.
football till last month.
Come
Like,
on,
how you going?
bro.
Hey, come on, bro. I was so mad.
Man.
Another thing I want to talk about with you because I saw you, comment on the Twitter, and it's actually kind of taken off on Twitter because people hate my list. I'm terrible at making lists, but I want to talk to you. We're at the end of the season. Who would you have up there for some of these awards? Like, who do you look at as an MVP? Obviously, I have Jalen. You can say it's by. I know a lot of people will probably say it's by. I think that Jalen has proven to be very valuable to his team. We just lost the first time that we didn't have him. So, who do you think is the MVP of this league? Who's a guy that you have up there?
I'm sorry. I'm gonna say Pat Mahomes again. I think Jalen Hurts is probably the close second. Jalen Hurts is what he's done since from last year to this year, especially with the win-loss record. But his numbers aren't astronomical. They're good, but the whole team, you guys got a good team, bro. But when you look at Mahomes, so when he continues to lose people, he just lost Tariq Hill, and everybody was like, "Oh, your offense about to fall off. You lost this, you lost that. Y'all about to fall off." And they get okay players to bring with, but he's just a dog, bro. Every time you just watch him, he elevates that squad like he just does. Like he means everything to that team. Like Patrick Mahomes makes KC go. Like they don't have Patrick Mahomes, bro. KC ain't winning like that. Like they gonna go back to losing games. They might be back to being them lottery picks and fighting in the draft and top 10 picks. That's how I feel like how much he means to him, man. And I'm not, going with people saying Jalen Hurts is a system quarterback. I'm not going that far or nothing like that because, like I said, I think Hurts is a good quarterback, but I feel like he still needs to, he still needs to go. But I'm still got to give it to Mahomes on that, big dog.
Yeah, I mean, look, I can never make an argument that says Mahomes doesn't deserve it. You know what I'm saying? My only argument would be why Jalen Hurts deserves it more. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to discredit what Mahomes is. I will say the whole team thing, the whole system thing, Andy Reid is a Hall of Fame coach. Andy Reid is one of the best offensive minds that we've seen in a long, long, long time, maybe ever.
You
So,
see what
I
he did
mean,
to Michael Vick.
Exactly, and not just that. Shout out to Michael Vick. I'll bring that up in a little bit, but yeah, you look at what because it's funny that you bring that up. You bring up how the Chiefs used to be so bad. I remember the Chiefs went through a whole season without having a wide receiver catch a touchdown. Like that's a legitimate thing. They went through 16 games and did not have one wide receiver, and I think they made the playoffs if I'm not mistaken that year, which is the craziest thing ever. But either way, that offense to go from there to what it is now, it could be a very, very big drop off, if you lose somebody like Patrick Mahomes. But I think they have like 7 Pro Bowlers to our 8, which obviously Pro Bowl is more of like a popularity contest. But I think that shows that he has a very solid team around him as well. I know that wide receiver wise, he doesn't have the Tyreek Hill, but you have the best tight end in the game, arguably one of the best in the history of our game. I mean, it would be hard pressed to think of like 5 or 6 more are better than him. You know what I'm saying? He's one of the best receiving tight ends in the history of our game. So, I mean, he has a squad. It's not like he doesn't have a team. And I think if you look at what Jalen Hurts has been able to do, not just with the team he has, but as quickly as he's been able to do it. It's one thing to get weapons on your team. We've seen other teams. Do we look at Devontae Adams in Oakland, or where are they now? Vegas. You look at how they're doing. They're not playing that great, and they have some offensive juggernauts. I mean, you got Devontae Adams, who is regularly getting 100 yards. You got Josh Jacobs, who is leading. Well, he might not still be leading, but he's up there as the leaders rusher, as a rusher. So you have all these players and you're still not winning. You look at what Jalen Hurts is able to do. He's able to take a back seat when he has to. He's able to take, the driver's seat when he has to, for lack of better terms. So I think that he's done a lot for this team. And I think there's a lot of games where you can say the Eagles don't win that game if it was not for Jalen Hurts. And whereas last year, I would never think I would get to that point saying that, like saying that. Right. I think, you know what I mean? Because you heard how I used to talk about it.
But here's what I gotta say. The difference is, dog. You say you guys got Brown, right? You guys got Brown. You guys got Devontae Smith. You guys got Goddard. You guys got Miles Sanders, right? Them are some nice players, right? Yeah, they got Travis Kelce, but Juju Smith, he's okay. Jerick McKinnon, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Noah Gray, McCole Hardman, Sky Moore. I mean, are these guys like dogs? And then the running game, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Ronald Jones, Jerick McKinnon. You feel me?
I feel you. I definitely he making Jerick McKinnon look like a dog. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, I don't know. I personally think that what Jalen is able to do, especially as a guy that's not labeled a passer, you have 2 1,000-yard receivers. You have a tight end that was on pace before he got injured. I just think that is very, very impressive, and he's still able to do what he's able to do on the ground. So it makes it very interesting. I'm sure that, Patrick Mahomes will end up winning it, but I don't think it's crazy for me to say, and I don't think it's crazy for anybody to give a vote to Jalen Hurts as the MVP when you look at the body of his work. And I think for people to just, and I'm not saying you are, but for people that are just like poo-pooing Jalen Hurts from even the conversation, I think it's ridiculous, to be honest. I think that
we had that same fight for Dak Prescott when he was turning up and people were like, oh, Dak Prescott, he ain't this, exactly. He ain't that. And we fought the same fight that you're fighting with Jalen Hurts about the respect, dog. So that's why I said Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott's really, careers to me are the same way, because the same way you guys, I'm listening to you guys have said, man, Jalen Hurts has done this and he's done that. I'm like, bro, y'all talked all this stuff about Dak, but we was doing the same thing for Dak. You guys are doing the same thing for Jalen Hurts, it seems like.
Yeah, and you got a $2 super. Life's crazy just be trolling me. I feel like he goes from your chat to my chat just to talk junk to both of them. Like he be on it. I love him though.
Oh, yeah, Life's crazy is my dog though. He said, Joe, we spoke in that Philly Loud Pack, that $2 holler. I love Life's crazy. He funny as hell. You know what I'm saying? But I really appreciate you. But yeah, that's what when you're talking about MVPs, that's why I'm gonna go with Pat Mahomes. When I just mentioned everybody who has on the squad, he lost dogs and he just keeps reloading. You just got to give him an average player. He gonna turn up.
Yeah, no, Mahomes is a dog, and it's if we're talking about who's the better player, obviously I'm giving it to Mahomes. I think and I really don't even care about the MVP. I know I just made like a whole heartfelt conversation about it, but like I really don't care if he wins it. I would love it for him, right? Like, but at the end of the day, I want him to win a Super Bowl, and I think that that's possible. Somebody asked a question in here, and I want to talk about this because, and I'll try and stay calm because I know this is probably going to be heated, but all things, let's say, we win the division, we win this next game against the Saints, we get into the playoffs, you guys are able to win your first round game, win your second round game, you're feeling good, we're feeling good, we meet in the NFC Championship game, both teams are healthy. I don't want to know Hurts versus Dak who you think would win. More so, I would want to know, I guess let's just, rip off the Band-Aid. Who do you think would win that game if both teams were healthy, and why?
I'm going with my boy Dak because we've been there, we done that. Until you dethrone us, you have to beat us. Dak is 2-0 against Hurts, and those games that they played, those were meaningful games. Those weren't just games that didn't mean anything. Yes, Hurts was just starting to come into his own. We get it, but it was last year. You feel me? It was at the beginning of the season. Dak dropped 40, and your defense was all over us in the very beginning of the game. Dak made some early mistakes in the beginning of that game. He had the fumble in the end zone, and I feel like what was it? Your big boy picked it up and scooped it in the end zone, and it was just like, man, y'all come right back in the game. But you know what? I'm gonna go with my guy. I'm sorry, he's an Eagle destroyer right now. He's 8-3 against you guys. He's averaging 250 a game, 67 completion percentage, 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I don't know if we add that last game, because if you add that last game, it's 22-9. You feel me? A 98.9 complete QB rating against you guys. You see the record, and just dog, he owes the NFC East, bro. Like I can't give dog that. And I'm telling you, I respect your squad as far as you got a good team, defense, offense, everything. Y'all did everything to make your team get to the Super Bowl. I feel you, but until you guys beat Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts ain't beat him, that's got to be a monkey on his back. And don't tell me he don't think about that, and don't tell me he probably don't want that. But I'm going with my guy because he just showed you again right there when the chips was down, he can put it on his back and win it.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people saying hurt. I did hear that it was only one. I haven't looked at it. I meant to look at it, but I did hear that it was only one game that Dak actually played hurts. But we'll see.
Oh,
I would have to look. I would have to look
we're
because I
gonna have
really
to
don't
look.
know. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I do. But at the end of the day, look. I think that if you look at this Eagles team and you look at this Cowboys team, we have won multiple ways, as have you guys. And if you look at the first half versus the second half of the season, but with Dak, you guys have kind of become a one-dimensional thing. You guys aren't the defense that you used to be. And I feel like going into the names that we've brought up, right? We've talked about the 49ers, we talked about the Eagles, we talked about the Cowboys. The 49ers are in there because of their defense. The Eagles can win a 15-14 game. They can win a 10-13 game. I don't know that the Dallas Cowboys can. And that's the thing. I don't know when we get to the playoffs, because we do talk about Eagles playing the Cowboys and how, Dak has had great record against us and all that. That's all great. But once you're in the playoffs, if your defense cannot hold things down, it's going to make it a lot harder for the opposing quarterback. Because you look at even at this game and you look at the time of possession, you look at when I was, getting upset and irate that we were losing, and I'm sitting here telling you we need to just hold the ball. We need to run the clock out. We need to slow it down. That's how we win games. I don't know if Dallas can do that. Now, kudos to you guys because you guys switched our formula mainly because of the turnovers. So if that defense doesn't get it, right by the playoffs, I think that that's going to be a very, very hard thing for you guys to overcome. Now, in my scenario, my fantasy scenario, you overcome it for 2 weeks. So I think that we can win. I think that we can win. I think that it would come down to us just running all over the field and slowing the game down, making it a, 20-17, 20-10, 17-10 type of game, something low and slow and just burn it out type of game, because I don't think you guys can play that type of game. You have a good running, group. You have good running backs, but we shut them down even in this loss, So I think that we have what it takes, especially in the playoffs, to go ahead and be one of those teams that just finds ways to win. And especially if we're going to be at home, I think that just adds a little something. Dallas people, there's not going to be many Dallas fans coming to Philly, if any. So I
Oh,
think
they
that
coming to
everything just.
Philly. If it's a championship game, Cowboys fans are coming to Philly. Not, but nobody's going to be intimidated. Cowboys fans are going to come to
It's not
Philly.
even about
And
intimidation. They ain't gonna get
oh, that's
tickets.
what I mean. I'm saying. Well, Dallas is already going to be on it. All I'm going to say is this: you guys got the team, but as I said before, you guys had a game where you could have still won the game defensively. You could have shut us down. You could have stopped us, and you didn't. And it was Dak Prescott. You shut our run game down. Ezekiel Elliott only had 55 yards. Tony Pollard only had 21 yards rushing. You shut the total run game down. It was not effective at all. We had to put the shoulders on the game against with Dak. I've also seen other games when we had Amari Cooper, when you guys were on us and we couldn't get anything rolling. All of a sudden, Dak and Amari Cooper went nuts and winning games. So it's not like we haven't seen this before. So I'm gonna go ahead and ride with that because I've seen games Dak being down against Philly time and time again in his career, and him rise up and win the games at the end. So I'm gonna keep on riding with that. I'm gonna go with that, and because I can only go on the history. If it wasn't no history with that, I couldn't really say anything with it. So that's what I'm gonna do. But do I agree with you with the defense? I've already said plain as day, our defense needs to tighten up. Our pass rush is our bread and butter right now. Our run game is not. We got to tighten that up. But our pass rush is our bread and butter. And right now, we've only got 1 sack in 3 games. We got to tighten that up. But to our credit is that we still got turnovers. So even though you might get gashed, Joe, if you get turnovers and a bend don't break, and this is a playoffs, you hate to get ran over and things like that. But if you can get turnovers in that game, you can be opportunistic. Those can be the little things that can get you over and win the game. And yeah, you don't want to give up a lot of plays, but it doesn't matter if you get to the Super Bowl or something like that. You feel me, dog?
Yeah, and I mean the Eagles going into this game were, I believe, first in turnover differential. I think you guys were second going into the Eagles Cowboys game. I'm sure that changed a lot, but a main part of that, especially these past couple weeks, has been Jalen Hurts. You know, to his when you look at the 4 turnovers, that's just not something that he's been a part of on offense. Our defense has went from, I believe it was like plus 16 in the first half of the year to now like -2 when it comes to actual turnover differential. So it's not what you want to see. Like our defense is just not making the turnovers and making the big plays that you saw earlier on in the year. And it was something that it was at such a historical pace that it's like, obviously you're not going to keep seeing it to that extent, but you need to still see those big plays. It was big to see Josh Sweat be able to make that play. It was big to be able to see the Eagles get, I believe it was 6 sacks. As an offense, you have to take advantage of that. As an offense, you can't give the ball back. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. I think that if you have a Jalen Hurts, I say all that to say this. I say if you have a Jalen Hurts, you have to play it way more straight. You know what I'm saying? Like with a Gardner Minshew, there was so many things that you could get him flustered. With a Jalen Hurts, I don't think he's going to make the big mistakes. He might not move the ball. You know what I'm saying? I think he would take going 3 and out over the interceptions, over trying to do hero ball, which I think Gardner Minshew was trying to do. So I think he just gives us a better chance. You know what I mean?
Well, this is what I'm gonna say about this. Dak Prescott in the playoffs is 1-2. Okay, and it's been much talked about. But honestly, when we look at that first game, it was his rookie year. It wasn't to his fault in that Green Bay game. If you thoroughly look at that game, that second game where we lost against the Rams, Dak played well. We defense gave it up. And then when you look at even when we won Seattle, he won that game. That was Dak breaking us all the way back in the last fourth quarter and winning the game at the end. And then if you see in the San Francisco game, yeah, we just got outplayed all the way through, all from top to bottom. There's no excuse for anything. I'm not putting it on Dak. I'm putting it on the whole damn team. We just got totally beat that whole damn game. But here's the thing. We haven't seen Jalen Hurts. What's Jalen Hurts' record in the playoffs right now? I feel what you're saying about what you think Jalen Hurts can do and what you probably want Jalen Hurts can do. But Jalen Hurts is not one in the playoffs. Am I correct? And so
yeah, he's 0-1.
He's 0-1, and he hasn't seen the playoffs a lot. So this is a lot of, even though Jalen Hurts looks like a cool, calm collector, this is still something totally new to him. He's going to have a lot of pressure on him as well. To be able to rise above. You're going to be having possibly home field advantage throughout, and people are thinking Super Bowl now. So he's never been in this. He's never seen this animal or this demon because he is 0-1. Okay, so when people say Dak Prescott, he ain't never did this in playoffs, neither is Jalen Hurts. So really, it's the same thing. So we'll see how it goes. You feel me?
Yeah, I know some people are saying, they want to see Slay and Bradbury in the playoffs as well. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you never have that experience until you have that experience. I mean, as you know, dumb as it sounds, it's the truth. Like you look at Nick Foles. Nick Foles never went on a 4-game or 3-game win streak to win the Super Bowl. Like those things don't happen until they happen. So I do feel confident. I think that you look at the body of work, like you said, with the Dak Prescott, you do the same thing with a Jalen Hurts. You look at the way he's handled, unfortunate situations, way he's handled his loss, the way he, handles adversity and stuff like that. I just feel like the playoffs won't be any different. And not just that, you go into this year and you go into this playoffs, everybody continuously says that the Eagles have such a great team. I think that's what's going to lift you up. Your veterans, right? You got guys like Lane Johnson that have been there. You got guys like Fletcher Cox, Avonte Maddox that have seen that. So you have people that know what it's like, even down to the coaching staff, right? Even though you've lost a lot of guys, you still got vets like Stoutland that have been here and won a Super Bowl with this team. You got, you have people, Brandon Graham, you have a lot of guys that can just kind of tell you, look, this is how it's going to be. Just get ready. You look at the AJ Brown. AJ Brown has been part of a great team that fell apart in the playoffs, right? I'm sure he doesn't want to be a part of that again. So he kind of knows that. So I understand and I agree. 110% that you have to worry about the lack of experience. But we are in a very unique situation, in a lucky situation. We set Ndamukong Suh, another guy, that these guys know what it's like to be on great teams, what it's like to be in those moments. So I think that will help us a lot. Whereas with the Cowboys, I don't think you can say that. I think you have Mike McCarthy. He won a Super Bowl, right? So, but outside of that, do you really have guys that you can, have Dak be like, listen, before it's been like that. Maybe he's the guy. Maybe he's been through enough playoff experience that he can kind of give that tutoring or that mentorship to other players. I just don't know. I think that the Eagles have the advantage in that as well. I think that we have a team that can cover.
I don't know because we've also had we have Tyron Smith who's been there. He's been playoff ready. He's been playoff bound before Dak got there. Zach Martin has been playoff bound before Dak got there. So we got guys on that offensive side have been there. Ezekiel Elliott has been there since 2016. So we have guys. We're more homegrown. We don't have a lot of guys from outside, and the guys that you mentioned are more homegrown as well. And they've seen playoffs just like our guys have seen playoffs. Now, when you're talking about coaches, I'm going to go ahead and say we got to have a little bit more experience. And here's the thing. When I saw a comment in there saying Dak Prescott's been in the league, 7 years, and Jalen Hurts is 2. Well, I'm going to just say this one more time. Coaching does matter. We had a coach named Jason Garrett. Okay, he's not a good coach. Okay, sorry. We had Jason Garrett for 10 years. And in that time, Dak was still winning games, still winning NFC East championships, still having good numbers with Jason Garrett, who will never, ever, I promise you, never, ever coach the NFL again. He can't even get a college job. He's just going to be in the booth, if that. He will never coach in the NFL. And he was our coach for 10 years. So people need to sit there and think about that before coaching does matter, right? Because you guys like your coach and you feel like he's made the difference probably in your team, and probably Jalen Hurts in his short career has probably helped, right? You like him, right? So coaching does matter. So now we have a guy, Mike McCarthy, who let's see what happens in year 2. But guess what? He's got a Super Bowl coach who in 3 years has playoff 2 years back-to-back, 2 double-digit win seasons, and like I said, playoffs. So he's been there and done that. So I can say I can trust him a little bit more to be able to deal with this coming into the season, especially after that flop of last year. Because remember, he had the Packers when they were 15-1, and they flopped, and when the Giants beat them. So he should be able to have this bounce back and understand what it's like, because they did come back and compete for a Super Bowl as well. After that, they just had the bonehead play with the dude from the Packers on the onside kick.
I forgot all about Jason Kelce. I mean, but you guys have guys that have made it to the playoffs. I'm saying we have guys that know what it takes to win, and that's not a slight. That's not me trying to knock you guys. It's just we have guys, whether it's homegrown or guys from the outside. I just think that we have that. But we both have knowledgeable and experienced coaching staffs and teams. It really just comes down to the game. I really don't see, and maybe this is biasness, maybe this is whatever it is, I really don't see any team that really matters outside of the Eagles or the Cowboys. I think those are realistically the 2 teams. I love what the 49ers are doing. It's a really cool story to see Brock Purdy out there keeping the boat afloat. But when it comes down to the playoffs, that's going to be a shell shock. And I think that he's played very well, and I haven't analyzed him. And yeah, he's going to see what it's really. And I don't want to sit here and act like I know what's going on, because I don't. I didn't sit here and analyze his film or anything. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I just feel like that Cinderella story is going to come to an end at some point. Mm-hmm. You look at the rest of the teams, we talked about the Vikings. I just don't think that any other team, it's going to probably be taken over by the NFC East. And I think that both the Eagles and the Cowboys, although we do have a loss against Washington, I think we both feel confident against those teams. I think that we both feel confident that if it comes down to us playing the Giants or Washington, we are going to handle them very easily. So I think the NFC really comes down to the playoffs between the Eagles and the Cowboys, and that's really what I'm waiting for. I really can't wait. That's what I've been waiting for, to keep it a stack, and I just want to see it fully healthy. Like people are
Personally,
saying
I'd like to
49ers.
see
Yeah.
y'all beat them up. If there was some way in the playoffs, I would love to play them. But personally, I would love to see y'all beat them up, get them out the way, and then us play y'all and go ahead and get that championship thing cracking. So if it's some kind of way that y'all can see them before you see us, go ahead and knock them out the way because I like to see y'all put that pounding on Purdy. I wouldn't mind that at all because he needs, I ain't saying he needs, but I'm just tired of hearing all that noise with him. I'm tired of everybody hyping him up like he the world's greatest quarterback and he was the last player taken in the draft for a reason. They had two quarterbacks ahead of him. You feel me? They brought Garoppolo back, didn't even think about you until he got hurt. And all of a sudden, he is a sensation. No, they just got a nice defense, a great running game. You got a pretty good receiving core that will hold you. I just mentioned time and time again how many Neil O'Donnell, Stam Humphreys, Matt Hasselback, Rex Grossman, Jake Delhomme, Brad Johnson, Trent Dilfer. There's tons of quarterbacks that. So don't let's not hype up no Brock Purdy nothing. He got a good team around him, and I want to see somebody beat them up pretty good. So if y'all can get them before us, get them, and then let's us meet up in the championship and let's do the damn thing.
Yeah, and I know y'all a little bit worried about them because
I ain't
49ers be
worried
giving
about
y'all the
them. Now, I
business.
already told you who I
49ers
wanted.
be giving y'all the
All right,
business.
so okay, they did. I admit I can't run from that. That's why I told you my ultimate way would be Tampa, San Fran, y'all. So I ain't running from no San Francisco 49ers. I want that smoke with them because I'm tired of people talking about them like they're the world's greatest thing. So I feel like we need that. But people might be scared to play them. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of anybody in this division or in this conference. I'm ready. I think that the Eagles are about to. This could be a special year, especially if we get healthy by the playoffs. I think this could be a very special year. If we're going in there hobbled, maybe my confidence wobbles a little bit, but I don't know. We've done it before. We've went into the playoffs without our quarterback. We've done worse. So as long as we got Hurts, as long as we got things figured out for the guys that are out, I got confidence, man. I like this coaching staff. I like this team. I like what we got. And like I said, I think that this NFC is pretty weak. So I'm ready for whoever we got to play. Mons is saying that 49ers scare him. The Niners don't really scare me. They got a good defense, but we've played a lot of good defenses. Like I'm more
I
afraid of
mean,
like
I feel
really good
like I,
offenses.
I feel like you can beat that. I feel like maybe it's a destiny this year for Cowboys Eagles to meet 3 times this year. It might be that destiny. I feel like it's kind of feeling like that to me. I don't know why, but it's just starting to feel like that this way to me. I know the Niners are there, and I'm not discrediting anything because that defense is something scary. But you know what? I just feel like I've seen this time and time again in sports where you have that team where you get this quarterback, they get hurt, they get this quarterback out of nowhere. Everybody's like, oh, they're going to keep on rolling all the way through the playoffs, and they come right in the playoffs and they get smacked. And everybody's like, how did that game happen? You know what I'm saying? I feel like this might happen with San Francisco this year because everybody's just touting them like can't nobody touch them. Them is the ones that get smacked out of nowhere in them playoffs. And I think this might be the year. And like I said, I want this Cowboys Eagles championship game because it needs to be. This is the era of content creators now, right? Before we was watching ESPN, Joe. Remember when we was younger, we used to watch ESPN and we could never say nothing about this. We just had to sit in our crib and we had to listen to Tom Jackson and Chris Berman and all them guys, and we just But now we actually got a voice. Now we actually people are listening to us, and they really ain't got that clout no more. So they listening to us. So it's even better for us to be able to, as content creators, to be able to see this, enjoy this, and be able to go back and forth. And I want that championship with us going against y'all because I don't know no Niners content creators out there. So I want to play against you guys. I want to beat you guys in the championship because that would be so good to whoop y'all in that championship at y'all crib.
It won't happen.
Go into the chip after forever. And y'all couldn't say nothing. Joe, you can never, ever, 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 ever talk to me again. You know that, right? You could never speak to me again, right? You could probably never do a
Hey
show
man,
again.
I would probably turn into Philly the cooking channel. You know what I'm saying? Make croquettes and
You
no,
feel
I
me,
mean it
dog?
is what it.
You
If
could
we lose,
never.
if we
Woo,
lose I'm
woo,
going. I already said it on another show, but I'm
woo,
going out to Arizona for the Super Bowl.
woo.
Like I don't know if I'm going to the game, but if the Eagles don't make it to the Super Bowl, I'm gonna be so upset that I got to be out there in Arizona while some other team is like Kyle. You remember, you know Kyle Youmans, but Kyle kept
Yeah,
on being
yeah.
like, "Oh, it sucks. You're gonna have to be in Arizona and see all the Cowboys and Bills fans." And I was like, "Bro, get out my face, bro." I was like, "Get out my face, bro."
Woo.
I was so mad, but I'm hoping that these Eagles can pull it out, man. I feel very good about the future of this team, and that's not like setting myself up. So if we do it, I still expect us to win this year, and
I do
I
have a
hope
good
that we
future.
do. But we
I have a
have
good
a
future.
very good future. So I'm excited about the future of this Philadelphia Eagles team in general. But do you mind if I put a quick little shameless plug before we
Yeah,
get out of here?
plug
All
that
right.
in there. Plug.
Shout, shout out to everybody. You did bring him up earlier. So if you guys do not know, I do work for Michael Vick for Fanfield. We are releasing his collection starting on Monday. I believe the day is. I believe it's the 3rd. But either way, what I'm trying to say is that if you go to my community tab, I was able to catch up with him, sit down with him, just kind of talk about what Fanfield is and just kind of pick his mind on how excited he is to be a part of the team. So if you guys could do me a big favor and go check out that interview, I would really appreciate it. It would help me out in my job. And that's what I'm going down to Arizona for, James. I'm going down to Arizona for a big party, like a Super Bowl party with Vic and a bunch of other former players and stuff. So I'm excited. Everything is finally, you knew about most of this, if not all of this already, but I'm able to actually, say kind of everything. Go to fanfield.io. You'll see my mug all over it. But there's a lot of very exciting things happening. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys could support me with that. It has nothing to do with the Eagles. I promise you, if you're on the Cowboys side, it has nothing to do with the Eagles. We've done Michael Vick, Dante Hall, a couple other. We've done a lot of interviews. So definitely go check it out, man. It would mean a lot to me. But yeah, I just had to throw that out there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's going to be
It's
number one dope out there in the hot lands for the Super Bowl, dog. Go out there and eat
facts.
that up. And like you said, go support my dog, Joe. Go check out the link. Rewind this. If you didn't hear it right now, rewind it. You know, you can rewind, pause, take it slow, listen to it, turn the volume up. You can hear it, and then bam, go right to it. So make sure you do that. Make sure you support my dog. He's doing big things in these streets. Michael Vick, I really love what Michael Vick's. I always loved him from afar. Seems like a super cool dude. You even said he was. Seems like just so laid back. Really seemed like a cool guy, and a lot of big things that he's trying to do, and probably take it to the next level, going to 2023 and beyond. So I love seeing you being a part of that. So go support my dog. Even though he's a Philly guy, even though we'll forgive him for that, dog, go ahead and support my dog like no other.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be fun, man. I'm excited for this next year, for this show as well, man. We've been killing it, and it's crazy to think how long we've been going. We started as a
Yeah.
draft show, and I'm excited to get back to the draft talk, man. Like that's what we did this for, you know what I'm saying?
I
And
just
then it
got
just
my
kind of
draft
grew.
videos too, so let's get it. Let's
Yeah,
get it.
I'm excited to start talking some draft, man. But either way, man, we've been on here for long enough, man. I appreciate everybody tuned in. We got about 140 people between both channels, so definitely hit that like, hit that subscribe, join both families. We do this every Tuesday, and every game that we play, we definitely will be going live, getting very upset with each other. It's hilarious. Every time after one of our lives, my girl like hits me up like, "You and James good, right? That was just like y'all was just arguing about football, right? Like you better not, like." And I'm like, "Nah, it's just football, man.
That
It's just
is
football."
hilarious. My girl be she be looking at me like, all right, because I be getting off like, man, they be going hard. I be trying to be good. I be trying to be good. And don't know how to touch the buttons, dog. Don't know how to touch them. He know how to get me.
hey, hey, hey,
She is
that's the fun
hilarious.
part
She
of it
said, y'all
all.
good, right? Y'all, because y'all was going back and forth. Y'all good, right?
But nah, this was calm. This was calm. So that she'll be happy with that. I think she'll be good with
If
that. But
she's
but
saying
no,
that, boy, she better not see us in a championship game.
right? That's gonna be wild. That's gonna be. I thought we were pretty
That
good last time, if I'm being honest.
Nah,
Especially for me losing, I thought I was gonna go
because that'll
crazy.
be that. Yeah, we probably me and Joe we're gonna love each other, but we probably won't talk to each other probably for like a week. Cause we gonna say a lot of evil things to each other. Man, shut the fuck up! I don't give a hell about no eagle.
Exactly. It's gonna be ugly, but it's gonna be beautiful, man. It's gonna be beautiful because then the next week we gonna hop right back on because
We'll hop right
I
back
saw
on,
some
win the
comments
Super Bowl,
today.
and you are talking to me. Yeah.
In fact, I saw some comments today. Like, I'm surprised you guys are alive right now. Like, you guys was going at it. Well, hey, that's what you got to do, man. That's the fun of the football season. But either way, yeah, man, I'm gonna get back to work. I'm gonna get some things going. But James, is there anything you want to say to these beautiful people before we get out of here?
Oh no,
My
just
girl
make sure
says she's
continue
happy.
to But make sure you just continue to support the Best of Enemies podcast. You know how we do. Make sure y'all get in the building tonight. We got the final word is back after like the last week. We didn't do it. So make sure we're going to talk definitely talking Cowboys Eagles. So that's going to be good. So everybody show up on all the channels, Boss Cowboys, OC, Law Nation, myself. Make sure y'all deep in the building for that. That'll be back. High school interviews. I just dropped one a couple days ago. Make sure you check that out because my guy's trying to get to Miami of Ohio. I got another big one from a Texas kid, cornerback. He's turning up. He's going to be a senior next year. Really check him out. 6'2", 210 pounds. He's a nice prospect. So make sure you just keep on supporting the kids, support Best of Enemies, and support both our shows. And let's get it, man.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I appreciate all y'all, man. This was a lot of fun. And congratulations, Cowboys. You guys beat us fair and square. No excuses, no filler. You guys beat us. All right. So let's good luck to you guys for the rest of the season. Can't wait to see you guys hopefully in the playoffs. But other than that, y'all know what it is, man. That is James. I am Joe. And no matter what, we will always be the best enemies. Peace.
Peace.
We're brothers, we're happy and we're